Let's talk about biases. As a reviewer, it is important that you understand that I have my own biases. It's innate to pretty much every single person. I happen to be a fan of things like pistols and shotguns, and usually the smaller a blaster is, the more I tend to like it, because I can forgive whatever its flaws happen to be if it's functional, looks good, and happens to be small. And I tend to gravitate towards things like pistols and auto pistols and SMGs and sawn-off shotguns and so forth. That's kind of my thing. I'm not a big fan of like rifles or anything like that. Usually the smaller, more compact a blaster is, the more I happen to like it. Now let's talk about what my favorite blaster is, because this is something that does change over time. I may like Captain Slug's Esper one year and happen to like something else a completely different year. Now when it comes to what my absolute favorite blaster is, you think it would be something like the Microburst. I mean, this thing is absolutely tiny, and yet it's a monster of a blaster, and it can shoot anything that fits in a Spring Thunder shell. And yes, you better get subscribed, because we're gonna be doing a video on this really soon. But at least right now, what I think my absolute favorite blaster is, meet the Cyber Ninja from JSPB. This thing is so freaking cool. It's so cool that I've tried to film this video 3 times, and I haven't been able to even really form a coherent structure, because every single time I start getting my hands on this thing, I start foaming at the mouth. Because what do you think this is? Like, before we do anything, let's say you know nothing about this blaster, and it's very possible that you know nothing about this blaster. What does it do? How does it fire? What velocities does it hit? Well, if you said that it was a Springer, and that it hit 120 FPS, yeah, I caught it. You would be entirely right, and it's mag-fed, and it's this big. Yeah, let me tell you about the Cyber Ninja, because I absolutely love this thing. That is incredible. Some darts seem to have a little bit of an issue, not all of them. I'm not even trying, I'm just firing it for the sheer joy of it. JSPB isn't new. The Cyber Ninja is new, but they're not a new manufacturer, company, dude? I don't know, like, I think it's one or two, or a small group of people that designs and makes these blasters, but this is not their first product. In fact, they've made multiple iterations of their JSPB Pro. They made the pistol that's a Night Finder that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but it was pretty cool. My buddy Valor has one, and he always taunted me with it, and I've wanted one for quite some time, but could never pull the trigger on it. But when I saw the Cyber Ninja, I knew I had to have one. I was eagerly awaiting pre-orders to come up. They put 15 up for pre-order with their initial, like, first echelon launch thing, and I happened to get one of the pink ones, which is obviously the color I would have went with. And there will be more of these, but I think this thing cost me about $140 shipped, which could be logically a bit much for some people, and I understand that, but there's really nothing else in the hobby that's like this. Flywheelers being this compact isn't anything new. In fact, flywheels are usually pretty easy to work with. You just need something that will push a dart into 2 small spinning wheels, and micro flywheels have been all the rage with things like the Pigeon, the Magpie, the Grass Snake. There's like a million of them now. And I've even been working on my own little compact SMG kind of style thing. When I saw how absolutely efficient the MA40 was, I realized it had to be cut down and made into a short dart shooter, which I'm almost done with this. You can tell it's pretty much functional at this point. I'll have a video on that very soon as well. But this is a Springer, and it's not even like an internal clip. It's magazine fed, and it's so compact.
Dang, oh, it's so small, I can't even find it.
Here's an Elite 2.0 Phoenix. Here is the Cyber Ninja, and it is like half the size. It's minuscule. And 111. It can hit harder. I've actually got it up to about 120, but that's really competent for a blaster. Again, this big, that's a Springer. And unfortunately, I don't have a sling or anything that will fit in this loop right here, but it's actually designed to be used with a sling, so you can put it around inside the blaster, anchor it to one of these points on the side, anchor it onto the priming handle, and you can punch it forward and use it one-handed, which is incredible. And because it doesn't hit like 200 FPS or anything like that, I can use it at basically any war I want to. And I could use that as a primary because it's magazine fed, or a secondary because it's tiny and compact. And I absolutely love this thing. I did buy this as a kit. It came in a box with a bunch of parts and I had to build it. The actual construction of the Cyber Ninja wasn't that difficult. It took me about 4 hours, but most of that was me tinkering, trying to figure out why my seal wasn't very good. Hint, it was the O-ring. The O-ring for this thing is very finicky. And you do have to do some pretty complex little things, like you have to make the stopper out of a rubber cork for the pusher so it will seal, and it's pretty picky about how you do that. Luckily, there was 2 in the box, so if you do mess one up, you have another shot and you can figure out what exactly went wrong with, but it is a little more finicky than normal. You also have to string the scar barrel because yes, this thing does have a rifled barrel, which is incredible, and that could be a little taxing for some people as well. But other than that, it's just putting parts together, lubricating everything, and it does come with lubricant, and then you're on your way. And let's face it, if I can build this thing, you can, because I'm an idiot, so anything I can do, you can do. And it's got, like, insane features with this thing. One thing I haven't done for this video, straight up, is the front of this actually has, like, a plug right here that you remove and fill this front piece full of sand. That apparently gives it some rigidity and also lowers the volume of when the plunger tube is, you know, snapping closed, which is weird to me, and I honestly don't have sand anywhere nearby, so I couldn't do that at the moment, but that's just straight up cool. The back of it also has a plug that you can remove, a little rubber stopper here, and you can oil the entire system, the plunger tube and whatnot, from that hole, which is ingenious. You don't even have to take the entire blaster apart to do that. That's great. This little wrist mount thing right here is completely optional. You don't have to have it. It does brace against your wrist when you're priming it back, so it doesn't, like, strain your wrist or anything crazy like that. God, I love it. And this little foregrip right here is also completely optional. You can take this off, it's a Picatinny rail underneath of that, and you can put whatever you want. It also has a rail right here and a rail right here. Sights-wise, it isn't too impressive. Like, it kind of works, but it honestly doesn't matter much because your barrel is all the way down here. Which makes me wonder if you're not supposed to put a sight right there and actually gangster shot with it. And it is completely accurate, there's no deviation. Scar barrel and good darts will get you very far. I'm using the Adventure Force Pro darts, and they work exceptionally well in this blasters, and the grip is extremely comfortable. It is very large. It has to be to have this magazine in it. I have pretty small hands, or I would say average size hands. I can grab it, hold it, no problem. It is very comfortable. The entire blaster, besides the barrel, the plunger tube, and the obvious bolts and O-rings and whatnot, is entirely 3D printed. That does mean that if you fall, trip, or something like that and land on this blaster, you are liable to break it. It also means you can't leave it in your car or it will most likely melt in the hot summer sun. But that's stuff we're used to at this point. It is a 3D printed blaster, and it's one of the only blasters I've ever had where I kind of wished it wasn't 3D printed. And the way the Cyber Ninja works is incredible. We'll talk about this really quick because it's worth noting. The prime is obviously right here. When I pull that back, you can see the pusher right there. That also seals in the back of this gray piece. This is the plunger tube. There's an O-ring that's sandwiched right here. This piece directs airflow down and then into this gray piece. And you can see the tube right there that leads to the back of what is essentially the barrel. So when a dart gets pushed from back there into this, the airflow is actually directed behind the dart, and the only place the air could easily leave is going to be the barrel, and that's how it fires. It is an ingenious system, and it works. Oh, it works well. All right, this will be interesting. Got 2 magazines on me. We'll see how this goes. Try to do a flat shot, and that is essentially elite ranges. Flat. That was flat. That went almost rival range, so never mind. With a little bit of angle, I'm clearing rival ranges without even trying. This'll... Wow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the hit markers for this, but... Can it clear pretty much that bush? You see I'm going to fire off a little bit to the side. Oh, that's perfect. For something that is also tiny, compact, and rapid fire, magazine fed, that is incredible. Some darts seem to have a little bit of an issue, not all of them. I'm not even trying, I'm just firing it for the sheer joy of it. That is amazing. How many shots do I get? Well, still got darts left. 2. Don't have to pull it back to remove the magazine or anything like that, which is a good design choice. And might have to sand that a little bit there we go. Get that to drop out one-handed. Got a whole nother magazine. This is so much fun. That's so much power in such a small package. That's incredible. Still got one dart left. The darts are flying completely straight. There's no deviation whatsoever. That's, again, from the short dart and also from the rifled barrel. I'm gonna walk you out there so I can show you where most of those shots landed. Here's a couple of the short darts. They're black, they're a little hard to see, but these were some of the flat shots. Here's another one right there, another one. If I come farther out here, we should start seeing a lot more of them. There is quite a few. Like, this is past rival range at this point. Here's some landed out here. Another one right there. And if I come even further out, there's one. There's 2. Here is 2 more. So, we might even got farther past here. I honestly wasn't even trying, but that is quite the distance. Again, for something so small that's also magazine fed and isn't some kind of crazy dual stage flywheeler. That is just intense. This is one of my favorite blasters I've ever gotten my hands on. It's one of the most perfect things I could have asked for. It works flawlessly, has great range, great capacity. It's mechanically interesting. I can't give it a high enough recommendation. I honestly can't. I know it's expensive, but you're not going to find anything else quite like it. Isn't that right, kitten? Isn't that right? How's the kitten? Yes. Official range testing companion. The JSPB Cyber Ninja just clicks all the boxes for me. I love how this thing feels in the hand. I love how compact it is. I love how it works. I love the fact it's a Springer and not another flywheeler, so if you want to be somewhat stealthy with it, you can. It hits hard. It's meant to be used one-handed from the ground up if you choose to, so it will always have a use in pretty much every single loadout as a sidearm. But it also takes magazines, so if you want to run it as a primary, you totally can, and 110, 120 FPS is definitely serviceable in just about every single war, especially for HVZ. Normally, I wouldn't even consider using half darts for HVZ. There's virtually no point. Now that we have pro darts in local Walmarts, at least in the US, it would be extremely easy to procure lots of those darts, especially at the location where a war is going to happen, and run something like this. I could technically just have this blaster in my bag to take to wars. Like, I don't need to bring a whole Talon Claw or a Caliburn or anything like that. I could use just this thing. And when you compare the sizes, yeah, it's less than half the size. And this thing really only hits about 40-50 FPS more. So if any of that interests you, then yes, I can definitely recommend the JSPB Cyber Ninja. I really can't proclaim that enough. I love this blaster. Absolutely love it. If it ever breaks on me, I'm going to cry. Hopefully I can be able to get files to reprint anything that would happen to break on this, but the Cyber Ninja is a complete winner. I can't. You can see that. I can't. I love this thing so very much. It's so much fun to use. Yes, you have to load talons backwards. Doesn't matter. They work perfectly fine. It just feels so good on the hand, and to use it and everything like that. It's so good. Now, if I could get it shooting like 130 on like the higher end of things, I would be happier. And I'm sure there's little tweaks in here that like Valor will figure out as when he gets his, because I know he's gonna get one, and he has some magic stuff when it comes to working on 3D printed blasters. That's kind of why everybody in the hobby goes to Valor, for him to test their stuff. He's a bright dude, and he has the magic touch. And hopefully he's willing to share his discoveries with us all, because I know this thing is most likely capable of hitting a little bit harder than it actually is. But for what I got right here, I am super happy with. It's expensive. It's not really obtainable for a lot of people because it's in Taiwan. There's a website and everything. I'll have all of that linked below where you can purchase one. It was in English and everything like that. They did email me in English, say, hey, how's everything going? You know, your blaster will be there. Do you have any questions? Just email me. They were very, very good on customer service. And they don't know who I am. They have no clue. I didn't even buy it under like the Walcom S7 email or anything like that. It was my personal email. And I've tried to film this video, you know, this is the 4th time, and I love it. I can't say that enough. I am very curious to see if any little things will change with this in the future, but what I have right here is phenomenal. If you want this, I wouldn't wait. I wanted a JSPB Pro. They're pretty much gone now. I can't get one. Maybe if I talked to JSPB, I would be able to buy one, but when I looked on their store, they're gone. All they really had was like their Urban Ops or whatever pistol, and then this thing. And JSPB blasters aren't really designed from the ground up to be high-performance workhorses. There's obviously a market for that, but they really do tend to gear their stuff more towards a lower FPS crowd. And the build can be a little daunting, but again, I did it, you can do it. And if you're worried about the build, they give you an option to buy one fully complete. It does cost you extra money, but you wouldn't have to worry about it. You wouldn't have to spend, like I said, it took me about 4 hours to build one. What more do I have to say? I really don't know what else to say. I have so many blasters. I have so many. I can get my hands on practically anything. I'm blessed to do this as a job. And even when I'm building stuff that I really want, it's still smaller. It's not a flywheel pistol or anything like that. This is, but it's so good. Like, this thing will obviously hit harder. I put a good cage in this thing, it'll hit 150 to 180. That's no problem. But for just a really simple Springer that I can put in a bag and use whenever I want to, and it's this big, magazine fed, I shouldn't have to say anything else. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Love this thing. I don't know if it's going to be the absolute top pick for 2020, but it's really freaking close. I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you made it this far, I cannot thank you enough. If you're interested in the JSPB Cyber Ninja, there will be a link in the description where you can pick one up. I also have the Teespring store down below where you can pick up some really cool designs for t-shirts, with lots more coming. We're going to be removing designs in the very near future, so not everything is going to be there forever, but there is some cool stuff, and I can't wait to show you the next shirt. If you really have to see it, you can click on the link, and it is available for purchase right now, but I haven't officially debuted it yet, because I haven't even got my samples in yet. And of course, there's a Patreon if you want to support the channel directly as well. But other than that, of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna do another video on this thing on the Lodex. I just can't. It's so...
You gotta